Hello everyone and welcome back to another DC miniature game battle report, and today we're doing scenario 11 from the hardback rulebook that came out a couple of years ago. At this point now, it's a Darkseid themed mission and we're pitting three of the founding Justice League members versus Darkseid and friends, thematic friends, but still, and it's a standard 50 levels match, although both teams work out at like 47, 48, but we can go into more details about those as we get started. The idea here though is to just wreck this table so we can get a new setup for next time, and this is the most fun way to do it. So here is Team Darkseid. Now the scenario in the rulebook does specify it's meant to be Darkseid and his parademons, but to fit the theme of it being rivals to the Justice League members in the hero side, and also because we don't have the parademon miniatures, Darkseid is instead being joined by the Merciless, the evil Bruce Wayne that took over as the God of War. He has Ares' helmet on, and then we also have Cheetah. And again, one of these teams is like 47 points, one of these is 48, I forget which. But they will be deploying within 3 inches of a portal that's on the battlefield, and it's a boom tube, and their goal is to stop it from being closed, and if any of them die while it's open, they can actually just instantly come back, which is a little dangerous. So just 3 very large base miniatures on the hero side. Their goal is to incapacitate Darkseid or push him into the portal, although I believe only Wonder Woman has a push, and then also do a willpower roll on the portal to close it, and you have to re-roll a successful willpower roll if Darkseid is within 6 of the portal. But the 3 trying to do it will be the big 80th anniversary Batman, who does not deploy on the table to start with. He can come down at any point an activation would be allowed. We have the big base Superman, who's the strongest iteration of him, and then we have the new 1984 Wonder Woman in her golden armor that gives her regen, immunity to electricity, makes her immune to irresistible unless the opponent is willing to pay 1 more extra power on top of everything else, and she has a few quite dangerous damaging attacks, and she's more sturdy in general. She can buff her defense and more than normal, and has resistances she wouldn't normally have, so she's pretty powerful. So these are the 2 teams, just 3 miniatures on each side, but one team certainly looks more impressive than the other. It's a very awesome lineup there. So both sides are set up. The heroes get a 6-inch deployment line, which is down on your left, but Big Batman does not deploy on the field. He can come in whenever he wants. Doesn't even need to be turn 1 if he doesn't want to. But the enemies need to deploy around the portal. Now the portal is meant to be a 50mm base. The only apt thing for a portal on hand was the old Trigun portal from the Teen Titans Bat box for the Batman miniature game. So that's what's being used, and also to cut down on the number of D6s cluttering up the table, now using sparkly blue D12s to show off powers. Now the unfortunate thing is Darkseid actually has 13 power while he's healthy, so it's not a correct number, but as soon as he moves or does anything it will come down, so he should have 13, but obviously just using D12s to cut down on colour. So we have the bag for who goes first. Oh, both sides have a mastermind. Darkseid is mastermind and so is Batman, so there is 4 dice for each in here, even though there's still only 6 turns. Blue for Justice League, grey for Darkseid, and it will be Darkseid's crew taking first activation in Battle Round 1. Cheetah activated first for the villains and spent 2 to move up to 9 to roughly there. She picked up this building that was here, counting it as a 5 damage structure. She threw it at Wonder Woman, but it passed by the Batmobile, so it took, you have to assign at least 1 point of damage to that. So Wonder Woman had to do an agility roll or take 4 damage because of the 1 applied to that. It's 5 damage. It's counting as the same size as a school bus, for like, because we have to go by the vague descriptions of what counts as what scenery in the hardback rulebook. She passed her agility roll though, so she took no damage. So then Cheetah, in order to get her safety, then spent 2 more power to do her advanced pounce, so she just gets placed within 6 or 4. Either way, so she's over there, and she does have 2 power left with which to buff her defense. Wonder Woman activated first for the heroes and basically copied her rival. Also, I don't think I covered how the villains win. I think I covered how the heroes win. They have to kill Darkseid, close the portal. They can also push Darkseid into the portal, but again, Wonder Woman is the only person who has a push, and it's her once per game. The villains win if 50% of the heroes are dead. So in this case, if 2 out of the 3 of them are gone, the villains win automatically. So anyway, she spent 2 to move up to the other amusement stall, picked it up, and chucked it this way so it didn't hit any other scenery, into the Merciless. The Merciless, unfortunately, though, passed his agility roll, so he took no damage. She then spent 2 on her Bracelets of Submission, which she can use once per turn. It buffs her physical and energy defense by 3 until the end of the turn. So she is very, very tanky. Unfortunately, she has no range. Her once per game has some range on it, but nothing else does. Like, she can't whip someone who's far away from her with the Lasso of Truth. So she's banking 6 power, but wasn't able to do anything else with her turn. Sorry, Diana does absolutely not have 6 power banked. She, of course, threw the concession stall, and throwing is 3 power, so that was another 3 I forgot to account for. So she actually has 3 power left. Still enough to buff a defensive improvement on top of all the other buffs she's given herself, though. The Merciless activated and spent 2 to get into base to base with Wonder Woman over here. That left him with 6 power to play with. His basic sword attack is 2 to use, so he did 2 overloaded ones to use up all 6 power on Wonder Woman. Oh, also every turn with his Ares helmet he has to choose a buff, either extra damage, extra attack, or extra defense. He picked the extra attack because it would be the best chance of getting through her buff defense. First hit did nothing, actually got equal to her defense, her buff defense, which means it does not go through. The second one, however, did, so Diana has taken 2 damage. But she does heal 1 at the end of a turn because this armor gives her regeneration. So Superman activated and he had a busy turn. He spent 3 to fly up to 15 and then also 1 on supercharge, which means wherever he stops, which was right here next to Diana and the Merciless, who's since been moved, everyone within 2 inches has to pass an agility roll or take 2 damage. The Merciless did not and has taken 2 damage. Unfortunately, it doesn't specify enemy models, so Diana also had to do an agility test. She also failed it, so Superman accidentally hurt her for 2 damage. He then did an overloaded throw, picked up the Merciless, and threw him at Darkseid. The thrown person takes damage equal to strength -1. He's strength 6, so that's 5 damage right there to the Merciless. And then Darkseid failed his agility roll and took 3 from the Merciless being chucked into his face, although he heals 5 in between turns, so you've got to try and make sure you pile on the damage, so that won't be happening this time. He then attempted to do a overloaded heat vision for 3 of his 4 remaining power, which would have given it penetrative on the overload, and tried it on the Merciless, failed getting through by 1. So he's banked 1 power. He accidentally hurt Wonder Woman, but he, as usual, dealt so much damage. And now it is over to Darkseid to end off the villain's first turn. So the mighty Darkseid activated and used not 1 but 2 of his once per games. First of all, he spent 1 power just to move forwards a little bit. He's still within distance of the portal to make it harder to get rid of it. He used his Omega Beam, which is a special power, once per game, 7 power to do this. He picks a target. He picked Wonder Woman thanks to her being injured by her friend over there. She has to immediately pass an agility roll or take 10 damage. Now, she passed it, but the Omega Beams chase her forever, so that's what that symbol denotes. That actually came in the pack with Darkseid. At the start of every one of her activations, she has to pass another agility roll or the Omega Beam hits her, and it is a whopping 10 damage. So then he also used Fires of Necropolis, which is his actual attack, which is a once per game. Incidentally, I forgot to mention, when Clark did his heat vision on the Merciless, it would have done +1 damage if it got through, because he has heroic action, which makes his first actual attack every turn do +1 damage. But it didn't get through, so. But I just forgot to mention. So anyway, Fires of Necropolis on Wonder Woman. It's a gigantic 5-inch explosion, which actually, now that I think about it, would also have hit the Batmobile and probably finished it off after it took some damage, so we'll just remove that now. Wonder Woman passed that roll, so it didn't hurt her, but anyone caught in the explosion has to do an agility roll or take full damage. Clark failed his agility roll and took 4 damage from that. So now we're technically at the end of Battle Round 1 if Batman chooses not to appear, so let's see what he decides. So Batman did activate, and he made his presence felt even more so than Darkseid did. He entered play using the I'm Batman rule, which is what keeps him off the table until you're ready to make him appear. He can appear literally anywhere. Enemy models within 2 of wherever he appears take 1 damage. So Darkseid and the Merciless took 1 damage. And it doesn't say you have to pay a power cost or anything in the scenario rules, and he was also touching the portal, so he just attempted his willpower roll. This Batman, when he's healthy, has 11 + 1 for 12 willpower, so it's pretty easy for him to roll under that on 2d8s. Now Darkseid is there, so it forced him to reroll a success, which he did, but the reroll was also a success, so the portal was closed and the heroes are now 50% of the way towards winning. They just need to take out Darkseid. Technically these other two don't matter, just Darkseid. So then, also as part of the I'm Batman rule, he ignores defensive improvements, not that anyone had any, and also all of his attacks are 1 cheaper. He did his once per game, which normally costs 4, but it went down to 3, back up to 4 for an overload, and that did 4 damage with the sneak attack to the Merciless. Then he just did 2 reinforced glove punches, again overloaded them both because of the cost reduction to the I'm Batman roll, so that's 2 of them combined for 2 each. So the Merciless is already in his pale zone, his, is it called blue? No, it goes from grey to pale to blue. He's in his blue, and he failed his stamina roll, so he is actually knocked out, and he could potentially activate in round 2 if he wakes up, unless he's already dead by then, because I think he's on 3 HP remaining. That's basically all Batman's tricks done, though. I don't think he can physically hurt Darkseid, but still a good turn for the heroes. They are done, and yeah, that does take us to the end of battle round 1. At the start of battle round 2, we do have a little bit of housekeeping to cover as well. Darkseid, as long as it's conscious, heals 5 damage with regeneration 5, so he's back to full health. And Wonder Woman has regeneration 1, so she has healed 1 damage. Everyone's got their power back, except the Merciless, because he's potentially just going to stay unconscious. He can try and activate at some point, but it does, if he fails to wake up, use up that activation. We also need to see who goes first, so we're just quickly shaking up the bag. It's more likely to be the villains this time, but let's see. It will be... Oh, actually no, what am I talking about? The villains got first turn. It was more likely to be the heroes, and it is indeed them going first. So of course it was Superman to activate first in battle round 2 for the heroes. He spent 2 to fly into base to base. Oh no, sorry, before he moved at all, he did his once per game freeze breath, and it did touch all 3 of the enemies without touching Batman. Have to pass an agility roll or take half damage. Darkseid passed his agility roll, so he only took 1. Obviously Merciless was unconscious, so he took the 2 full damage. And Cheetah also passed her agility roll, so only took 1 damage. They are ensnared, which takes away some of their movement range, 2 I think, or 3, but it's not going to matter. So then he spent 4 for an overloaded throw attempt. He picked up Cheetah and threw her into the unconscious Merciless. So she takes 5 damage because it's strength -1 and he's strength 6. And Merciless just takes damage equal to her size, which is 2. He only needed to take 1 more damage. Merciless has been defeated. Clark decided to bank the rest of his power. He's got 3 left for some defensive improvements. And Cheetah's obviously taken her first hefty chunk of damage. Cheetah activated next for the 2 choices for the villains. Forgot to mention, but anytime she is attacked physically, she can try and pass an agility roll and then just negates all the damage in what is one of the worst written rules on any card ever. It's a terrible, poorly translated from Spanish rule, but I believe that's what it means. Either way though, she failed when Clark threw her. So she moved for 2 into base to base with Diana. She did an overloaded Fangs attack, which counts as magic damage, so you can't boost your defense against it. And it got through, and it did... Oh, why did it do +1 damage? I think it did. Let me double check here. Oh, it did double damage because she got a crit. The dice roll is still just over there. So it would normally do 3 damage. The crit gave it +1, so that is 4 more damage to Diana, and she has fallen to her pale zone. So she is -1 physical defense now, and if she activates next, there's a chance she's going to take 10 damage on the face, because she's currently occupied by zapping lasers, omega beams bouncing around her. So sadly, Wonder Woman tried to activate. She's only agility 7, which is not great. There's the agility roll. She failed it. The omega beams struck her, and the armor of the Amazons did not protect her. It did 10 damage. She only had 8 health remaining, so she is gone. Darkseid activated and first of all moved next to Batman, picked him up and threw him at Clark. Clark, also, this is going to get into now. Normally the person who's had something chucked at them takes, if it's a person that's been thrown at them, take damage equal to the size. Pretty sure this Batman has a incorrect size listed on his card because he is size 4, which would mean he's as tall and swole as Darkseid, whereas literally everyone else, including Superman, is all size 2, so counting it as size 2, because I'm pretty sure the size 4 on his card is a massive mistake. So Clark would have taken 2 damage. He ignores 2 damage from any physical or energy attacks, so he just ignored that. Batman, however, Batman takes strength -1. He is also strength 6 like Superman is, so that was a massive 5 damage. And then he did his energy blast, which is a 2-inch bubble around him. It caught both of them. Again, Superman just ignores the 2 damage. Oh, he passed his agility roll. Actually, it would do 4 damage, but halved, so the half damage he ignored. Batman also passed his agility roll, so he still took 2 damage though, and that is in him into his pale zone now, and it is just over to him to end off battle round 2. This is going to be a quick one. So Batman did activate, and I wasn't exaggerating when I said like what he did with his first turn was basically all he could do, which was like closing the portal with his fantastic willpower, and then sneak attacking the Merciless with his once per game. Both Darkseid and Cheetah, although Cheetah has resistance against blunt specifically, Darkseid has resistance against all physical attacks. 2, the strongest attack he can do now is 2 damage, so the only way he can potentially do damage is if he crits for the extra 1 damage. And of course she also gets the agility roll to see if she takes no damage. So he went after Darkseid, he did 2 overloaded reinforced gloves attacks. 1 did actually crit, so he did an amazing 1 damage, which Darkseid is now going to heal because it's the end of the round. Top of round 3, Darkseid has healed back to full health because he heals 5 and he was only missing 2. It just comes down to who's going first. I have a feeling that if Darkseid gets to go first, this might just be the end of the game, because if he kills Batman, the losing criteria for the heroes comes into effect. We've shaken it enough. Here we go. It is actually the heroes, so Superman has a chance to get Darkseid far enough away that Batman isn't near guaranteed to be murderized. So Superman activated, and he spent 1 to do the supercharge and 1 just to move 4 inches, so that he was technically in base to base with Darkseid, although he slipped a little bit, and within 2 of Minerva. Well, sorry, I used her real name, Barbara and Minerva, Cheetah, but not within 2 of Batman, so they all just took 2 damage, so she took 2 damage, so did Darkseid. He then, Darkseid did end up over here, but I'm just covering everything first. He then did his once per game super punch, which also had stun 3, so Darkseid lost 3 power from it getting through. Then he did an overloaded throw to pick Darkseid up, throw him into this truck, which I guess the truck should technically be destroyed, so we'll get rid of that, because he's much larger than it. So the damage here, that's just 2 damage that ignores all resistances from the supercharge. Then his super punch would have done 5, take away 2 because of his resistance, but plus 1 because of heroic, heroic action. So that went back up to 4, and then him throwing would be 5, again reduced by 2 damage, down to 3. So Darkseid did take 9 damage there, which is more than he's going to heal at the end of his turn. So there's a chance. So Cheetah activated, spent 2 to move 9 into base to base with Batman, then did 2 Fang attacks with her remaining power, 1 of which was overloaded. So 3 damage on each of them, magic attacks, so he couldn't buff his defense at all, and both got through for 6 damage. He has 4 health remaining. If Darkseid is able to do that, then they just lose. So Batman did the only thing he really can do, which was to bravely run away. He used his back claw to give him 12 inches. He shot as far away up here as he can. He's underneath the Ferris wheel. I'm not sure if Darkseid can reach him or not. Darkseid only has 10 power to play with thanks to the stun he took from the super punch. So let's see what happens. So Darkseid spent 3 to fly 13, which put him roughly next to Superman right there. Then he spent another 3 to do his once per game teleportation, which was another 10 inches, I think. And actually I just realised he has an option of taking people within 3 of him, so actually if she was within 3, she'll also get moved next to him. Now he doesn't have any ranged that would reach, because his Fires of Acropolis was already used, so he has 4 power just doing nothing. But he's bearing down on Batman, and if he gets first turn, or if both of them do, then he's basically dead next turn, but we will have to go into one more round to see. I'm also just going to double check range, so Cheetah might be moved next to him because he's allowed to take people with the teleport. Top of round 4, everybody is powered up. It just comes down to who's getting first activation. It's more likely to be the villains. So let's see. Shake it up, and it is indeed the villains. Pray for Mr. Wayne. I don't think he's long for this world. Yep, no need to go any further than what he's already done with this turn. He moved in for 1, he overloaded a God Strike, and it did 4 damage, which is exactly enough. Batman did boost his physical defense, which I forgot to reflect here, but that did not help. Darkseid did enough damage that Batman has perished. So as per the rules of the scenario, even though the portal was destroyed, there is less than 50% of the heroes remaining on the table, because there's only Superman left over here. So Darkseid wins, even though he's stranded here now. So they weren't exactly victorious today, but it was pretty cool running just like 3 very large, very fancy looking big base minis for the Justice League. The fact that they can all fit in a 50 levels match is probably by design, although again, against the harder characters, people at Batman tier, i.e. people who aren't superpowered, they can't do anything. They can't do enough damage. Like, if you got rid of this Batman, this list would actually work a lot better with, like, for the same cost you could put in the Flash. Actually, you could probably put in Green Lantern as well, and both of them are capable of doing damage to people with high physical resistance. I think Green Lantern would actually be better, because he can go by his willpower rather than other stats. They did okay, and it looked cool. It was a quick one. Not as much of a table got destroyed as I thought was possible. Really wanted to throw the Ferris wheel, because the rulebook does go up to, like, oh, you want to throw something that's castle-sized? Alright, go ahead. Only Superman and Darkseid would have been strong enough, but it still would have been fun. Actually, you know what? That's how Darkseid should have taken out Batman. Like, forget just punching him with a God Strike. He should have just walked over to the Ferris wheel, picked it up, and dropped it on him. That would have been so much cooler. Oh well. DC Universe, it's a silly game. It's not as tactically depthful as Batman or Crisis Protocol or anything like that, but it's fun. It's fun to play every so often, and it's a fun way to clear a table as well. Hope you enjoyed. Please do show your support, and see you in the future for something else. Until next time, ta-ta for now.